Dinosaur King is what you wanna be, yeah, make your move, come on and make your move. Control the cards right in your hands, Jurassic Giants at your command. D-Team. Oh shit, we already started recording, didn't we? Whew, I still haven't gotten my singing right, have I? Well, either way, I'm sure this is a video a lot of you have been excited for. The Dinosaur King series was, and still has been, my most requested retrospective. Ever since I made those Fossil Fighter videos 2 years ago? Oh no, time is an illusion, is always running away from us. Oh god. Guess I better get started before we go extinct, huh? Dinosaur King started as a series of arcade machines developed by Sega sometime in 2005, with the main premise being that the player would play the arcade game to collect dinosaurs, and then battle other players' dinosaurs as well. This was done with Dinosaur King's unique card system, that worked kind of like trading card games. The player would have their dinosaur card and up to 3 special move cards, and then they'd be able to swipe them or slash them into the machine to transfer the dinosaur into the game. Now, I ain't entirely sure how the player would be able to get said cards, but I can surmise from my research that they came into packs similar to trading cards, or were given out in special events / promotions like magazines and the like, allowing the player to have binders on binders full of cards to use. And I'm sure that kid on the bus got all the dinosaur-loving groupies, with his special typed Hollow Pachyosaurus. Ooh. The gameplay of Dinosaur King was actually really easy for them to develop, as it was a direct copy of Mushi King, a TCG arcade game that was basically just Dinosaur King, but with beetles. And also, the most competitively played arcade game of all time? What the fuck? Why have I never heard of this? The way the game worked after you slashed in your cards is a very basic rock, paper, scissors styled combat system. And that's kind of it. Sometimes the NPCs will give you a hint on what they're going to do next, but for the most part it's just the basic mind games of Rochambeau. You hopefully understand the concept. This is just the shit you played with other kids on the playground. Now with extra stuff on top like types, status effects, enemy combat styles. You know, like some are better with rock, others with paper, but it goes further with stuff like some that are good even if they get into a tie, which is... I mean, it sounds kind of broken. You know, because it is. It's the typical RPG monster taming stuff, which added some much needed depth to how you play the game. Unless you predict your opponent's moves perfectly every time, then it's a cakewalk. But odds are that's not going to happen, as the NPC's hints get more and more vague as things go on, and if it's another person, then it's just the usual brain games. Unless you're a cheating bitch and you screen cheat. A funny goof in Halo, but a death sentence in Dinosaur King. But the main thing that takes Dinosaur King and steps it up to the next level is the animations. They are fucking crazy. Like the brutal choreography, the crazy practical effects, the graphical effects, the badass names. This game looks too damn good. It's legit such an oddity to have the gameplay be your typical scissors beats paper, and then have the dinosaur snap somebody's neck, throw them like a rag doll, nuke them from orbit, go Super Saiyan, call in a buddy for a tag team, activate their domain expansion, nuke them from orbit. You can see why this shit got so popular, and they started pumping out new versions of the game in Japan like every few months, with an international release coming out as well. Because if this got big, this could be a giant moneymaker for Sega. Could you imagine like a few years ago when trading cards were like going crazy and you just saw a YouTube video showing off a grade 1 Sucha Minus? I mean, that would have been crazy. The story of Dinosaur King is simple. We follow Max Taylor and his buddy Rex Owens, members of a dinosaur fan club called the D-Team, as they try to save all the dinosaurs from the Alpha Gang, a group of scientists with a wide variety of personalities that are trying to use the dinosaurs to take over the world. The reason the dinosaurs are back are because of the Alpha Gang. They use time travel to find and hunt down the dinosaurs and turn them into cards. so that they would have an unstoppable army to take over the world. But help comes in the form of these two special stone tablets, which come down from on high to Max and Rex, which allows them to hear a message from the dinosaurs begging them to save them. Using the stones, the boys are able to summon their own dinosaurs using the cards, and now go off to fight the Alpha Gang and save the dinosaurs. With each of the 23 upgrades to the machine bringing in new dinosaurs, a third D-Team member named Zoe, and new aspects to the story such as space pirates who also use dinosaurs to battle, not to mention a bunch of super dinosaurs, armored dinosaurs, super duper elemental armored dinosaurs. There's a lot of goddamn cards. Sadly, the game stopped getting updated in Japan around 2009, with other areas not receiving any new waves or updates past 11 or 12. Though, around the time the arcade started to pop off, a manga adaptation got released. Written and drawn by Yohei Sakai and produced by Viz Media, the manga follows Max and Rex as they're sent back to the past by the stone tablets, which apparently have some sort of prophecy surrounding them. Once they make it here, they meet their partner dinosaurs, Mini King, a young Styracosaurus, and Rex gets Benjamin, a cowboy earaptor. Yes sir, this manga does fucking slap. Though otherwise, it's the same story of the boys going off to stop the Alpha Gang, this time in a bit more cartoony style compared to the arcade counterparts. Oh god, what happened to your face? I really enjoyed this manga, the writing, the art, it was all really good. And it's a pretty quick read at only 2 volumes. Plus, I thought it was pretty hilarious, which is always a win for me. Though these weren't the only books for Dinosaur King, as some other parts of the world like France got its own comic series, and Japan got these 4-panel gag comics with like human dino hybrids. Yeah, there's a lot to cover here, so forgive me if I don't peek into everything. But the dinosaur hype train didn't stop there, as an anime was produced which took its own approach to telling the story of the D-Team and the Alpha Gang. And this is probably where you're most likely to recognize the exploits of Max and the D-Team. Here we get all 3 heroes from the start, with them all receiving a starter dinosaur, but this time with the ability to swap between battle mode and pet mode, which I know is a marketing thing to get me to buy all the toys, but fuck me, they're all so cute, especially like the villain ones. Oh my god, Tank. I love Tank, she's so adorable. Oh, right, yeah, the Alpha Gang are here as well, this time with much different personalities, with these 3 especially acting as a comedic Team Rocket villains, which is pretty funny as they're the ones always going out to fight Max and co, and in the 4Kids dub, they're literally voiced by Team Rocket and Ash, so that's fun. Kinda glad they didn't get the arcade cast back.
This is my best friend.
Yeah.
Rex.
The series is the standard Monster of the Week format, similar to Pokemon where the heroes and villains travel the globe, meet a new dinosaur or get a new move card, and then spend the episode learning something either about the creature or like a life lesson. Your typical Saturday morning cartoon. Season 1 is a pretty good watch, all things considered. The characters are fun, especially the side characters like Dr. Taylor or Reese, who were in the lore and the arcade but now get to be fully fleshed out. The Alpha Gang are really fun, and I enjoyed a lot of the new robot characters they added to the series. But the only thing I didn't care for is that the kids and the bad guys just refuse to use more than just their main dinosaurs most of the time. Like, sometimes I get it, you have your main. But when a situation calls for it, just whip out the dinosaur army you all just kinda have. Like, when something happens and the kids wish they could fly or something, I'm just thinking about the amount of dinosaurs they have that could solve that problem. And sometimes they do, which only infuriates me more. Again, Saturday morning cartoon, you get what you get. Though the best thing about this series is when they subvert the usual tropes from time to time. Like in other media, Dr. Z is trying to be the Dinosaur King. This self-aggrandizing title he gives himself for when he rules over all the dinosaurs. And not a single person in this show takes that plan seriously. Like, the Alpha Gang kinda do, as he's the boss and all that, but as soon as someone else hears this, they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? You want to build a big-ass arena for a bunch of dinosaurs to just fight in while you're just sitting at the top with like a crown or something? You are a big, crazy scientist with all these wacky inventions, and that's your ultimate goal. Dinosaur King. Dinosaur King. What even is that? Dinosaur King. What even is that? Which is one, hilarious because that's the name of the show, and two, extra funny because we're not even really sure if he wants world domination. That's kind of like a side thing, something to make the employees sign on. The robots and the grandkids have like no faith that he'll actually do any of this, which is so great. Also, you have 1 million robots. Why do you keep sending these 3 idiots? Like, come on. But the end of the season is when things get amazing. Spoilers for those who care. Seth is the best character in the show, because he's actually a fucking threat. He's another scientist in the Alpha Gang, but he spends the whole season just in the background working on some big project. Maybe once in a while he talks to the rest of the Alpha Gang, but he really doesn't have the time for their shenanigans. If they get all the dinosaur cards and stuff, that's cool, but he's doing his own thing. And whenever the kids, meet him, he just curb stomps them and moves along. This is all just beneath him. And near the end of the series, after most of the dinosaurs are saved, one of the grandkids walks in on Seth pulling a Frankenstein with a T-Rex skeleton, and they freak out. And they tell Dr. Z, which leads them all to confront Seth about how awful and messed up this all is. And he tells them to shut the fuck up and then kicks them out of their island, which is also a spaceship, but we don't have time to explain. And then he begins his plan to steal all the cards and the elemental stones and obtain true power, artificially evolving all the dinosaurs further than they ever got. All of this with his unstoppable black T-Rex, which hilariously dwarfs every other dinosaur, especially Terry, the main T-Rex. He's just so small, that's so funny. And he makes a pretty good threat to end off the season with the whole cast now having to team up and stop him, and they even bust out the dinosaur army, so this is serious. We then get some pretty big reveals about the Alpha Gang and Rex, with the idea that they're actually all from farther in the future, and this spaceship is actually a time machine. Rex's parents were scientists studying dinosaurs along with the Alpha Gang when they took over, which was a plot masterminded by Seth in order to fulfill his goals. But now it's time to say goodbye as Rex, his parents, and the Alpha Gang head back to the future. Max and Zoe say goodbye to both Rex and their dinos, and we end the series with a nice, wholesome goodbye. And then Rex and Co come crashing back for season 2, baby! Apparently, some space pirates also have a time machine, and they were following the first time machine in order to capture Rex's parents to have them build something for him. But Rex and friends come back to the present for help, which then leads to everyone's parents getting kidnapped because fuck you, and now we're going on a time-traveling adventure to get them back. The crew of good guys, Alpha Gang now included, are warned by a light pterodactyl, stay with me here, and the light dactyl tells them of the elemental stones and their dark counterpart, the Cosmos Stones, which can control all space and time, or destroy all space and time if they're brought together. We got some pretty big stakes now. So, now the crew and the pirates are in a race to see who can collect them all, and man, this season kind of gets a bit dull. Okay, so you probably didn't expect that after how excited I was about the premise, which it is a great premise. But the basic plot structure this time around is like divided into 4 to 5 episode arcs, and it gets like super repetitive. Okay, so the base plot for like all of these is the crew has to race against the pirates to find the stone in a random time period or like old myth or something like that. We have ancient Rome, Pirates of the Caribbean, Arabian Nights, Journey to the West, Samurais, the Three Musketeers, you get it. It's world history's greatest hits with a bit of old stories and myths mixed in as well. Fun idea for a series as linked to the past as Dinosaur King, plus the excuses they make for the dinosaurs is always hilarious. Though I think a few of these time periods would have found the bones of dinosaurs by now, so who cares? Now, since the show isn't about looking for 30 plus individual cards, but instead like 7 little stones, we obviously can't have a 7 episode season. So the story is about reaching each stone in around 4 episodes or so, which is fine. I definitely understand the shift in storytelling, but man does this get monotonous after a while. Every one of these has the same basic plot. The kids start in a new time era, They meet a new friend to guide them through said era. Friend has a problem, though that problem is always like a random bad guy of said era. The space pirates are also in said era looking for the stone. The kid teams up with a new friend, the space pirates work with random bad guy, and both teams try to go after the stone. The Alpha Gang are dicking around somewhere, the kid's parents have an escape plan. It fails. Reese and other side characters show up sometimes. Yes, I see him too, but I'm not qualified to speak on him, so I'm not going to. And then one side beats the other side, gets the stone, and we repeat ad nauseum. 41 episodes of this plot repeated over and over and over again. Sometimes they'll do something like kind of cool, like an amnesia plot with Sheer, or maybe Zoe's dad becomes the Shogun. Oh god, both of those examples happened in the same one arc out of 7. Fuck! But the other 90% of the time, it's the same old shtick with the only interesting flavor being the setting to which this all takes place. Now, I hear what you're about to say. The first season could be dumbed down to this extent, and you're right, it could be. But those stories were a single episode a pop with new stuff to keep it fresh instead of the brain-numbing 2 hours. Repeated over and over again. Oh my god, if I had to see their dipshit parents mess up another escape attempt, I'm gonna scream. And the Alpha Gang are so fucking wasted till the end of the season. They're supposed to be on the same team as the kids, especially since Universal Annihilation is at stake. But half the time, they're either going off and doing something completely uninteresting, or just straight up getting in the kids' way. And I know, they're supposed to be the comic relief, but half the time, what they're doing is either completely uninteresting, not funny, or used as a contrivance to slow down the plot even more. And it sucks, because when they actually work together with the kids is when this series is at its most interesting. And I would have loved if their comedic antics were more so revolved around helping the kids rather than hindering them. I mean, they caused Dr. Z a lot of headaches. Why not do that for Max and Co? That could have been interesting. And then we can have a subplot where Max and them get mad at the Alpha Gang, leaving them out of the search. But by season's end, they resolve their differences and the Alpha Gang become full team members. And the 6 of them together become too much for the pirates, leading them to develop their super dinos, kind of like they do in the story. Another problem the story has is the fact that the show really wants us to believe a bunch of old-timey soldiers or a gang of human pirates is a genuine threat when the kids can summon an army of super-powered dinosaurs. Like, I mean, really? Really? Now, most of the time, having them out-muscle the opponent with raw power isn't gonna work. So them not just summoning all their dinosaurs makes a lot of sense. But other times? God, it's really sad they started with that Rome arc, because it's definitely the worst one. All of the problems I mentioned above, and more, giving us this dragged out story arc about the kids, Spartacus, and an evil emperor. So many times, this arc could have just been easily solved if they just went hog wild with their dinosaurs, but no! It's never the right idea! Until the end of the arc, and then go fuck yourself, of course the lightning Triceratops can topple the Roman Empire, dumbass! God, I had to rewrite this section like twice, because I just kept going in on this arc, and it's not worth the time. It's not worth the time, I got better things to do. Inner peace, meditation. I got so many better. The Alpha Gang betrayed them for goddamn pizza. Ooh. Nope. No. Nope. No. The sword fight was pretty cool though. The space pirates are a fun bunch. I enjoyed their personalities a lot, especially the captain and his adorable little Bruntykins, who's also the strongest dinosaur in the series, by the way. Though it's not a Brontosaurus, it's an Apatosaurus, which bothered me. I'm not sure why they had the 3 pirates just kind of tag in and out for different episodes. That never really seemed to make too much sense to me. I mean, eventually they stopped doing it because, duh, 3 heads are better than 1. So, I don't know, I just don't think this was very well thought out. But then the season ends and who else but Seth shows up to steal the fucking show. The pirates found him in the time stream after he fell in at the end of season 1, and he was the one who gifted them with dinosaurs and the knowledge that the ancients, Rex's parents, would be able to make them a tracker for the Cosmos Stones. He then triple betrays both the pirates and the kids to obtain all the stones and use their ultimate power. God damn, I love this character. Him just being the ultimate fucking problem is as hilarious as it is threatening. Though, sadly, he doesn't get final boss status like last time. The pirates just kind of get the stones back and make their own dark pterodactyl, and then Seth just decides that evil is just not his thing anymore and he turns good like the rest of the Alpha Gang, and then he takes the elemental stones and just kind of kamikazes himself into the dark pterodactyl, saving the universe. It's alright. It's fine. I like him so much better as a villain. But everything's back to normal. The D-Team say goodbye to Rex, their dinosaurs, and the Alpha Gang once again. Seth is revealed to be in a coma but is slowly recovering, and the space pirates are left floating through space plotting revenge. Overall, a decent season. Not as strong as the first, but it definitely had a lot of highlight moments. The show overall is honestly a pretty good watch, especially if you're like nostalgic for the 4Kids era of Saturday morning cartoons, or if you just like Pokemon and dinosaurs, this will tickle your jollies quite well. It's too bad they never got to do a third season, but if they had, I would have loved to see this kid's relationship with his granddad on screen, as they plotted revenge against the D-Team. Also, maybe that's not his granddad, maybe it's his dad. It's a little confusing on the lore there. But I also would have loved to see Seth as the final threat again. Come on, we all know he ain't on that good guy life. He is a villain, a threat, a fucking problem 24/7. That's why he works. 10 out of 10 character, love this bastard. Also, I kind of would hope they'd drop that old lady joke. It got really old, like really fat. Shit, I didn't mean to do that. And then we have the trading card game that was exclusive in the 4Kids market and had nothing to do with the arcade cards. I'm sure that wasn't confusing. But the game looks kind of fun. So, I don't know, maybe if they bring that to Tabletop Simulator. I might try that out, I don't know. But finally, we have the DS game. Oh yeah, now we're in my bread and butter. Released in 2007 in Japan and 2008 everywhere else, and by that I mean Europe and America. Sorry everywhere else, guess you just didn't have that prehistoric riz. The game was made to be a new retelling of the Dinosaur King story. What is that, like 5 versions of the same basic plot? Man, Zelda and Star Fox fans think they got it bad, but here comes Dinosaur King fans with the only thing to talk about from the last 20 years. It's how Xander is a fucking freak in everything but the anime. What is he on? In this version, we have Zoe's sister Reese being the one to develop the Dino Shot technology before Dr. Z. So in this version, he barges right in to steal her prototype, leading the two boys, Max and Rex, to get chosen by the stones in order to save the dinosaurs. In turn, going after the Alpha Gang in a globe-trotting adventure to find the stone fragments. Shit, are we forgetting somebody? Nah, I'm sure it's fine. The story from there is very much like the shows, with the boys appearing in a new location, then meeting that place's group of wacky characters, before then battling a member of the Alpha Gang to get a stone fragment. But this time, instead of just collecting a plot-important set of items, we also have a life-ending meteor on the way, cause fucking fate, I guess. Yeah, you guys better hurry up and get those all-powerful items. The writing for the game is actually pretty good. It's basically the usual Saturday morning fare that the show had, so if you're into that, you'll be into this as well. The gameplay is more like a top-down RPG than an arcade experience, with the player getting to explore the different areas, fighting random battles with the Dr. Z droids, collecting items, completing side quests, and scanning the ground for fossils using your radar. Though I have a problem with said radar, as it needs to be constantly upgraded for each area the boys are teleported to, as well as only having like 5 or 6 charges before the thing needs to be recharged, either at a D-Team base or by using a consumable item. I found this to be really annoying most of the time, and with the collection of fossils already being so bare bones in this game, with you getting multiple copies of a dinosaur, I thought they could at least streamline the radar to make it not annoying. But when the boys find a fossil, they're able to take it back to the D-base and clean it up and revive it in a little minigame. Sadly though, this part isn't all that interesting. From what I tested, it's impossible to fail these, and instead the dinosaur is just revived at a slightly higher level depending on how clean you get the fossil before the durability of the pick breaks. It's fine, it's just not all that interesting. Which brings us to the main showstopper, the combat. It's pretty much the same as the arcade version, though with some additions, such as the ability to have up to 3 dinosaurs take part in a battle, a 4th move slot for whatever type of move you wish, an MP system added so you can't just spam your super moves, though I think that was sort of in the arcade, but just not like this. And then, well, that's about it. The game is an adaptation of the first story arc, so no super armors or nothing like that. It's just like the arcade game, and the combat is just Rochambeau. Rock beats scissors, scissors beats paper, paper beats rock. Then, if you or the opponent win the type triangle, then you get to go through with your attack and damage the opponent. If you lose, then you don't attack and you get damaged instead. And if you tie, both you and the opponent take a little bit of damage, though there are special effects either from your dinosaur or from your moves, such as like extra attacks, status effects, domain expansions that boost your elemental moves, and even the ability to win even if you tie, which sounds kind of broken, but we already did this, didn't we? The gameplay honestly starts off really boring at first, with Reese just kind of giving you the answers on how to win an encounter. God, these first few hours were so boring. I found myself dozing off multiple times while recording, and I never do that. Though thankfully all that extra stuff comes in later to really spruce up the gameplay. And instead of Reese telling you the right move to choose, you now get to play mind games with your opponent, which is the true way to play rock, paper, scissors. It's the type of game that's simple to get into, but once the stakes are set and you and the boys put snacks or money on the line, in a huge tournament, then shit, that's when the fun starts. The mind games, the poker faces. This is where it gets interesting, trying to test each other's force of will to see who's gonna win the intense matchup. Then when they're confident in their choice of move and they throw scissors, only for me to hit them with some Sun Tzu shit. Rock 12 times in a row. Ancient Chinese proverb. If your opponent doesn't block the same move 11 times in a row, then that bitch ain't gonna block it the 12th time. Either he's gonna learn, or he's gonna burn. Hashtag rock only for life. Sun Tzu. Probably. Though there is a huge problem with the game. Rock, paper, scissors is a perfectly fine battle system for an arcade game with 10 battles. That's the, typical arcade luck-based system to drain out your money from your pockets. That's just what arcades do. But in an over 20-hour RPG, I don't like getting sent back to the beginning of an area with my resources drained because some bitch decided to go paper 12 times in a row. Coward! The battle system is great in short bursts, but in long term it gets grating, and not helping matters is how much of this is grinding battles to level up your dinosaurs. This game is Grind City and it is terrible. If you have to consistently give the player items that double the experience output, and even then they're still under-leveled 90% of the encounters, I think we have a problem with the experience output. The game would honestly be 5 hours if I didn't have to grind every single wild encounter just to barely reach the minions level in the dungeon, not even the boss! Now, this is a Rochambeau experience, so a level 1 could potentially beat a level 100, but with how huge a difference the HP and attack count would be, the level 1 would have to perfect every round and not get a single tie or lose, or else it's over. And even then, most encounters will have a full team of 3 by endgame, so, go fuck yourself. I can see why the kids stuck with one dinosaur for most of the show. Using any more than just 3 of them is a waste of experience. And then in-game is just disgusting with how many long battles there are and how many times your ass will be sent back to the spawn area. That shit got so old, I just started save scumming before fights. Why? Ancient Chinese proverb. 'Cause fuck 'em. That's why. Sun Tzu. Potentially. Something I found really funny was the length of characters you get when you name your dinosaurs, so I just started giving them these long, grandiose titles, like Ace the Arch-Aether, or something stupid like Dave the Dumbass. I don't know. The post-game was actually pretty cool. It's a lot of rematches in a new area to collect dinosaurs. I kinda wish these were available sooner, but I stopped collecting dinosaurs after a while, so But we do have this cool password place that gives us the adorable show dinosaurs that have their little pet mode and their official color schemes. And Mini King is here from the manga! Fuck yeah! Where's Benjamin? Doggone it, them sons of bitches left me behind. Oh. I'm sorry, I'm not that huge on this game. It's way too slow and grindy, and the parts that make it that way feel arbitrary at best. I already wasn't that huge on the battle system when I played the arcade versions, and I definitely wasn't when I played it here. The music is good, and these animations on the DS are fucking crazy. This game looks stupid good. But I can only recommend this to a Dinosaur King fan, and only if they're down for some serious grinding. If you're not into this series, then you won't be into this game either. It's okay, but I don't see myself coming back to it, sadly. Also, poor fucking Zoe. You'd think they'd make her like a 3rd player option. I mean, in the beginning you choose between Max and Rex, and then you get their black arcade version of their starter. And I think Zoe would have been great to fill in the whole 3 starter rule most of these games already have. And you know, I know the most of the target audience for this series is like boys, but come on, 1 girl option wouldn't kill anybody. Especially because they tempt us with her gaining a dinosaur like twice in the story, and it didn't even happen in post-game. Also, wow, this game got blown out of the water by Fossil Fighters. They even came out in like the same span of time. If you want a really good dinosaur RPG, that series is amazing. Check out my video on it here to learn more. But if you want something a little more modern with a rock, paper, scissors battle system, Monster Hunter Stories is amazing, both 1 and 2. They use the triangle system as well for the main brunt of the battles, but it's got a lot of other skills and moves to use alongside that, as well as all the trappings, of Monster Hunter. Gotta do a video on those someday, they're amazing. But that's Dinosaur King. A really fun series with a lot of creativity and a loyal fan base behind it. It has its shortcomings, but it has its highlights as well. If this series looks interesting to you, then I think you'll enjoy it. But what happened to Dinosaur King? Why did it stop all of a sudden, you know? Many have come up with like different conspiracies or explanations, mostly centering around little legal kerfuffles or like 4Kids closing. But in this case, the simplest answer is the correct one. It just stopped making enough money to justify making new arcade cabinets, printing new cards, and writing new stories. It's unfortunate, but Dinosaur King isn't the only great series to have this happen to it. Maybe some fans will work up some sort of revival, or someone will purchase it from Sega, or hell, maybe Sega will just reboot the whole thing. I could see Dinosaur King working really well in today's markets if they're willing to change a few things. But I don't know if I'd hold my breath. If you were going to make like an idea for a Dinosaur King fan game, then I'd probably take the RPG Maker route like Pokemon. I mean, all the models and sprites from the DS game are on the resource websites, and RPG Maker is fairly beginner friendly. I was actually going to make like a proof of concept, but to be honest, I got too much shit going on, so I'll just leave these little nuggets of info and some links in the description. Do with all that what you will. Dinosaur King was one of my childhood favorites when I watched the show as a kid. And I do have some memories of the DS game too, since my cousins let me play it a few times. I even have like 1 or 2 memories of the arcade machine, but like not that much. This is something special, and if you think you'd be interested, I'd check it out, it's great. Especially my boy fucking Seth. God, he's the best of all time. Whether he's a fallen hero, a backstabbing piece of shit, or just the roadblock that forces us to evolve into a stronger version of ourselves. Sephiroth is just so fucking cool. Even the great Sun Tzu himself had to appreciate his battle tactics. Ancient Chinese proverb. I didn't say any of that shit. Sun Tzu. Definitely.